Abdullah ibn Abbas, Sahabiyul Jalil, Habru Hadhihi al-Ummah. Yani he is mufassir when it comes to the Quran. He did a lot of tafsir of the Quran. He's the most knowledgeable companion, they say, or he's the most knowledgeable companion when it comes to the tafsir. And his students are the most knowledgeable ones when it comes to tafsir, such as Tawus ibn Kaysan and Sa'id ibn Jubayr and Ikrimah, who was the Mawla of Ibn Abbas, and Abu al-Aliyat al-Rayahi and Mujahid ibn Jabrin also, who mashallah did the entire Quran with him multiple times. And even another man whose name was Abu al-Jawza, who said, I was a neighbor of Abdullah ibn Abbas for 12 years. I became the neighbor of Ibn Abbas for how many years? For 12 years I was his neighbor, and that every time I saw him, I asked him a meaning of a verse, and he would tell me, and I finished the whole Quran with him like that. So the students of Ibn Abbas are the most knowledgeable when it comes to tafsir, just like Abdullah ibn Abbas is the what? Abdullah ibn Abbas was the most knowledgeable companion when it came to tafsir, because the Prophet ﷺ made dua for him, and the dua of the Prophet ﷺ is accepted. Allahumma faqihu fi din wa allimhu ta'wil, the Prophet said, oh Allah, give him understanding of this religion and the interpretation of the Quran. And Allah opened it for him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Actually, the age that the Prophet ﷺ died when Ibn Abbas is 13. And Ibn Abbas, who did he go to? Some say 15, some say 17, some even said 19. Let's say 19, let's take the oldest age that was mentioned. And in 19, and he went around and sought knowledge. Who did he take knowledge from? Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali. He asked all of them, whatever he can get. And when he was embarking on the path of seeking knowledge, one of the people he came to was a man from the people of Ansar. He said to him, listen, come, let's do this together. Let's go and seek knowledge together. So what happened was, he went and he sought knowledge. Abdullah, the man said to him, listen, you and I, who's going to need us? The big companions are alive. Who's going to need you and me? Abdullah ibn Abbas had high aspirations, so he ignored him. He went and sought knowledge, sought knowledge, sought knowledge. He would travel wherever he would hear narration. Whoever said that narration, he would go and knock on their door and ask them, is it true that you said this? He came to companions on the other side of the world, and he would lie down in front of their house. He would tie his face and he would lie in front of his door. He wouldn't wake him up. At night time, if he came for Fajr, he would wait to go with him. Of course, this is the Prophet's cousin, first cousin. They would be shocked. They would say, why on earth would you do this to yourself? Tell us, we would come to you. And he would say, no, al-ilmu yu'ta wa la ya'ti. Knowledge is sought. You go after knowledge. Knowledge won't come to you. It won't knock on your door. So that's how he learnt. So one day that man who was saying to him, who's going to need you, saw Abdullah ibn Abbas sitting down and explaining the Quran, and the people taking notes and memorizing and studying with him. And then he said, Inna hadha al-fata, this young boy, kana a'qala minni, he was more smarter than I was. He was much clever than I was. He ignored what I had to say. He ignored my statement. What did he do? He sought knowledge and carried on, and this is where he reached. وَلِذَلِكَ Abdullah ibn Abbas, even in one of the Hajj, he sat down and he did tafsir of a surah of the Quran, some verses of a surah of the Quran. The narrators and the students and those who were there that day, they said, لو سمع الروم والديلم, if the Romans and these nations, these civilized so-called nations, were to hear the tafsir of Abdullah ibn Abbas that day, لَأَسْلَمُوا جَمِيعًا, all of them would have embraced Islam. The way he explained it, the benefits that he extracted from it. Abdullah ibn Abbas. And Abdullah ibn Abbas used to be challenged in his interpretation of the Quran by the head of the Khawarij of his time, Nafi' ibn al-Azraq. Nafi' ibn al-Azraq would come to Abdullah ibn Abbas and he would argue with him every time on every verse of the Quran. He wasn't one who wanted to learn. He didn't have the desire of learning. All he wanted to do was, he just wanted to argue with Ibn Abbas. So one of the times he came to Abdullah ibn Abbas and he said to him, you're a shocking person. Why? The story, Ibn Kathir mentions it in Surah Al-Naml. وَتَفَقَّدَ الطَّيْرَ فَقَالَ مَا لِيَ لَا أَرَى الْهُدْهُدَ أَمْ كَانَ مِنَ الْغَائِبِينَ. He mentions it in the interpretation of that verse, Ibn Kathir. So Nafi' came to Abdullah ibn Abbas and he said to him, I'm really fascinated with you, Ibn Abbas. You're saying that the hudhud, the bird, the hudhud, when it flies, it can see underneath the earth. If there's water or something in there, you can see. That's what you're claiming. And we see little children place greenery on the ground and make a hole first, and then they put green on top of it to trap the hudhud. and the hudhud flies over it, thinks that it's a place where it can come down on. As soon as it steps on it, it's a trap and it falls in. That's what we see, and you're telling us it can see underneath the earth. So Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he said to him, إِذَا جَاءَ الْقَدَرُ بَطَلَ الْحَذَرُ. If the qadar comes, what was written for you, then all of the precautions that you took, all of the effort that you exerted is gone out of the window. You could know everything. If the time Allah writ for you comes, or the time that was written for you comes, then all of the hard work and the measures that you put in place won't work. So Nafi looked at Ibn Abbas and he said to him, after today, I'm never going to debate with you. You win. Okay, Ibn Abbas, I'll give it to you. You win. I just won't argue with you again. So Abdullah ibn Abbas was very knowledgeable. Very, very what? Knowledgeable. Radiallahu ta'ala anhu.